And then how do y'all introduce yourself together as a band? Do you say Khruangbin at the same time, or
It never
you
works.
never do that?
Yeah, that never works.
Yeah, usually we just like one of us will do it.
Usually Laura, because she has the best sultry voice. Listen, do it again. Say something.
Hi, this is Laura Lee from Khruangbin.
Wow.
Yeah, it's perfect.
Did it just get louder? I feel like it just got louder.
Awesome.
Hi. Hey, this is Jim, and you're listening to the Music Memories Podcast. Nobody rocks like.
Hey y'all, Sama'an here. I want to share with you a really special episode of the Nostalgia Mixtape with a favorite band of mine, Khruangbin. They're made up of a drummer, DJ Johnson, a bassist, Laura Lee, and a guitarist, Mark Spear. They're one of my favorite bands because they have covered several psychedelic rock and roll songs from the Middle East, records that are from like the 60s, 70s, and kind of brought them back into the conversation. And I think that's really important and a positive thing. I also love them because at their live shows, they don't do a lot of singing. It's mainly instrumental, but when they do, the crowd goes nuts, even when they just like say one word. It's a really fun thing to witness, and I hope everyone out there gets a chance to check out a Khruangbin show at some point. But to tell the story of how their music first came into my life, we've got to rewind back to 2010. I first met their drummer, DJ, late in that year, when I knew him as Beans, not DJ. Beans was one half of Beans and Cornbread, a production duo who were responsible for regional hits for people like Paul Wall, Zero, Slim Thug, and Kurt Bangs. They also produced the beautiful theme music that you hear in the background right now. Pretty cool, right? Anyway, they're really friendly guys. They love guacamole. I love guacamole. We hit it off really, really quickly. And so I asked them if they wanted to play my South by Southwest showcase. And they said yes. I was only 20 years old, and I had just bought like 300 donuts, and randomly Steve Francis showed up to the showcase, Houston Rockets basketball legend Steve Francis. And my parents were there too, so it was quite an interesting mix of things going on. But I guess that showcase must have gone well in some way because I stayed in touch with Beans and Cornbread. And one day Beans told me about a band he was in called Khruangbin and that they were coming to Austin. The host of our morning talk show at Texas Student TV, Natasha Verma, mentioned that she was looking for a band to play her morning show. So I connected Beans and Natasha, and on November 11th, 2011, at hella early o'clock, Khruangbin played in our studio. I've been trying to look for an earlier live performance of Khruangbin, like a live taping, but I haven't been able to find one. So I'm going to play you a little bit of what that early performance sounded like. That was one of their early tracks called Bin Bin. I had halfway forgotten about that moment until 2018, a few nights before one of two sold-out shows at Music Hall of Williamsburg in Brooklyn. I was searching through my tweets to see what was the earliest mention I had ever made of them on Twitter. Saw some tweets from 2016 and I was like, okay, that makes sense. Then I kept scrolling and there were earlier and earlier mentions of them, and I was like, okay, I'm even surprised that I was ahead of the curve on this. And then, boom, I found tweets from 2011, and it was their performance at Texas Student TV, and I was like, oh my gosh, I totally forgot that had happened. So when I talked to them that night, I brought it up, and all of our minds were blown, because I think they had forgotten that that happened too. And we were just like, oh my gosh, we actually met like 7 years ago. But I knew from then I was going to be a lifelong fan of Khruangbin's music. I just had no idea how many other people around the world would become fans too. It's really incredible. So with that in mind, here's a dreamy and silly trip down memory lane with DJ, Laura, and Mark, together known as Khruangbin.
The song is Gonna Get Over You by France Jolie. I randomly found this song on Spotify, I believe in 2016.
2016.
I was just riding around, had some songs playing, and this one popped on. And when it went off, the test of a good song for me is like when it goes off, you're like, I'm gonna run that back. I'm gonna hear it again.
Yeah.
So I played it again, and I was like, man, this is really jamming. And I was marveling at the production of the song, how good it was, and how tight and formatted the song was. And fast forward maybe like later that weekend, on a Saturday, my wife and I were headed down to see her parents who live in Lake Jackson. And I think we're about halfway through the trip. It takes about an hour to get there.
From Houston?
Yeah, from Houston.
Okay.
So about 30 minutes in, I put the song on, and we listened to it, and I made her listen to the song the rest of the rest of the way to Lake Jackson on repeat.
That actually sounds kind of terrible, man.
Yeah. I was like, and I politely asked her. I was like, you mind if we listen to this again? I just can't get enough of this this bass line. So I got kind of stuck with it, and I was like, wow, this is really, really good. And I think the next time I played it, we were all together on tour in Copenhagen, I believe.
Yeah, in I think April of 2016.
Yeah.
How were y'all feeling as people and as a band in 2016?
I think that's when things were kind of first getting started for us, because I first went over we did our first show outside of the United States in November of 2015. We went over and we did like a short run in the UK, and it was when our album came out. So we were there for maybe like 10 days, and we played, how many shows did we do in that time?
Maybe like 4 or 5.
Yeah, 4 or
Not
5
much.
shows. And it was really special. It was a super exciting time for us. Me especially, because of my first time like really out of the country, using my passport, playing music and meeting all these people with the British accents, and just kind of diving into the culture. It was cool.
Yeah, it was a crazy time. It was scary because life was changing for all of us in different ways. But we were all coming together and doing this thing that was really meaningful, and obviously still is. But that beginning, you don't know what's going to happen more than ever. I mean, you still don't know what's going to happen, but we were all sort of taking leaps of faith in that tour. I quit my job, cross your fingers, hope for the best. And you sort of feel high on life because you've made that leap, and you know that the possibilities are great, but they're also scary. And I'll never forget that little bubble of time. We were on tour for 2 months on that run. 2 months in Europe was way too long. But it sort of broke us in the best way.
I mean, we were on tour with a really fantastic band, and we learned a lot about just, what to do on stage and how to do it. And yeah, we got very Van Larius, because we're chasing a tour bus across Europe.
Yeah.
It's just like, the funny thing is like the previous November when we were playing those 4 or 5 shows in the UK is when we played BBC.
Oh, wow.
And that's where we played with Father John Misty.
We met FJM on that show.
Yeah, and then here he is like, hey, I'm going to take these guys on tour with me. And that was, wow, okay, great. Sweet, thanks.
A huge leap.
A huge leap, yeah.
Wow.
And, so we tried to have fun as much as we could, and that song definitely was fun.
Yeah.
It's still fun.
how does that feel, making these huge like leaps in terms of like knowledge and growth? Like, are you ready for it, or do you just like buckle up? You know,
I don't think you're ever ready
Yeah.
because it's always more than you can imagine it to be.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's you just kind of, when it comes, you just like, all right, here we go. You know, put on your guitar and grab your drumsticks and here we go.
Mm-hmm.
It's a thing. It's been a wild ride. Good one though.
Gonna get over you, over you. Gonna get over you. I'll get over you.
I actually, because I remember DJ showing me the song, and he's like, I think you're going to love this song.
Mm-hmm.
Because Nina, DJ's wife, loves this song. He's like, she can't stop listening to the song.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm hearing the story. It was DJ who couldn't stop listening to the song.
It was totally
But it was a memorable day. It was a memorable tour for us. It was our first tour ever, and we were on the road with Father John Misty, and we were delirious because the road is that way. And I loved it. I love that song, and I would frequently sort of do the catwalk backstage to
Yes.
keep myself awake because I'd be tired. And I'd be like, I'm going to walk for you guys. And I'd pick a song and I'd walk. Sometimes I'd eat a sandwich while I walk or something. And the day I walked to France Jolie, my hair was all messed up and I only had one shoe on. And
It's gonna be hard to walk.
yeah, but it was great. And I think Mark caught it on video.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
And I have this laugh sometimes, and I can't fake it. But it's like, ah. And in the video, I do that at the very end. And so it became this video that we were constantly playing for each other to hear that laugh at the end, but also the song. And it was just a really memorable moment.
Oh, we couldn't stop listening to that. We listened to it a ton on the road. It was like whenever someone had the phone and someone was playing stuff through the system of the van, it was like, oh, there it is again, because it's so good. And we ended up, we're like, oh, we have to get this on wax, right?
Yeah.
So we go look and find it, and we're on Discogs, and Laura Lee finds it, right? So she orders it.
And I spent the extra cash. I got the good copy.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm going to get
Very
the nice
good
one.
plus.
Very good plus. And then it comes in the mail, and it's the Spanish version.
It's still jamming, though.
It's still jam, right? It's still jam.
It is.
Still jamming, though.
Yeah.
But, I put it on. I was like, oh, And now actually, it's we play it. It's great.
Yeah, we play it. It's like, because people are hip to that song, right? So when we play, they're like, oh, they're playing French Julie, and then she's singing in Spanish, and they're like, where'd you get this version? Like, that's a deep cut. Hey, but it came with the instrumental on the B-side, so that's tight.
Indeed.
Yeah. So you can do your karaoke version with the instrumental.
Yeah.
And then we played it recently live
Oh wow.
in
Montreal?
Montreal.
Yeah.
Which is where France Jolie is from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, it did not go off.
Not the same crowd apparently.
Yeah. We're about 30 years too late. We played that in her prime. It would have gone completely insane.
We were so excited about that too. We were like, oh man, we're in Montreal.
Right.
We get to play.
They're gonna go nuts.
Yeah, they're gonna love it. We kick it off, da, 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 and it's like literally like 3 people in the room that are like getting it, and it's us. So, it's what it is.
Ya verás que el guaré, 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 y mañana verás.
So this specific moment was your European tour, right?
Yeah.
Were there any records you discovered on that tour, or records you had been looking for that you found?
Like actual physical records?
Yes.
We did have zero time for record shopping
Yeah.
on that run
Mhm.
because you're just basically chasing a tour bus and hoping to show up on time for load-in.
Mhm.
So there wasn't any time to go like exploring.
We had, very
stuff.
little exploration time, which is sort of what makes that song and any songs that make their way into your regular playlist on the road so important, because you're backstage a lot and
Yeah.
you're listening to songs, and if there's songs that are keeping you through that time.
There was another song that kind of chased us around during that time. It was the Sonia Spence.
Yeah,
That's right.
Sonia Spence.
Let love flow on.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the other song of that tour.
Uh-huh.
And actually, in Copenhagen, same place that the catwalk happened, DJ and I went to have brunch, and Sonia Spence came on, and it just didn't seem like it would be a song you'd hear anywhere. And
Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
there, and it was this weird moment.
Like at the Cafe Yellow.
Yeah, we hugged. We were like, this is,
Yeah.
this is so weird.
Yeah, because she didn't hear it. I was sitting there and I was like, do you hear that? And she's like, hear what? And I was like, listen. And she's like, oh my God, it's the... And I was just kind of following us around. So weird.
How did that song go? I've never heard it before.
I'm so bad with words.
I reach for you, honey, and you reach for me. We'll do the things together only lovers do. Let it flow, my baby.
Man.
So good.
We'll do the things together only lovers do. Let love flow on, baby. Getting into each other, yes, we'll unite. And we'll let love's vibrations lead us aright. We'll do the things together only lovers do. Let love flow on, baby. We'll do the things together only lovers do. Let love flow on, baby.
And because we didn't have that many adventures on that run, that morning we did 2 nights in Copenhagen, and it was DJ's really first time. It was first time in Europe,
Yeah.
and Mark was asleep, and we were in a Airbnb, and the apartment above us there was like a 7-year-old kid learning how to play drums. I mean, it was that like
Oh,
practicing
man.
drums
Wow.
thing.
I forgot about that.
I'm so sorry, man. That probably drove you crazy.
Well, it was actually it was electric drums too. So it wasn't even like you're hearing like a drum. You're hearing like a pedal hitting a floor.
Right.
You know, like it's like
Yeah.
what is going on?
Yeah, Mark's good about just when he's determined to sleep, he'll just keep doing it.
Oh yeah, I'm a
But-
good sleeper.
But there was no way I was going to stay in that room. And I looked at Deej and was like, do you want to go on an adventure? And he's like, what kind of adventures? Brunch?
That's pretty adventurous.
Um,
Food? Yes.
And it ended up, I sort of rolled the dice on a place in Copenhagen I'd never been, and ended up
Yeah, it
being,
was beautiful.
yeah.
It was like on a harbor or something. Like,
Yeah, I was on the water, huge spread. One of the nicest buffet spreads I've
Yeah.
ever seen. I think it was probably really expensive, but
Can you walk me there? Like, visually, can you describe, like, from where you were staying to the place?
it wasn't far. It was like walk out of the door. We walked down the street, maybe hung a few turns, and it seemed like we arrived there, and there were all these people just kind of brunching and hanging out.
it was sunny,
Sunny.
waterfront. The architecture in Copenhagen is very like Amsterdam-y, kind of. That's the
Yeah.
only thing I could compare it to, but it's its own
Yeah.
creative style. There was a lot of fish on the spread.
Yeah.
Like I don't even know what it was.
And there
but-
was this ice cream that I had at the end. It was really good.
Yeah. And then as we were leaving, the song came on, and then we went and told Mark about our moment.
Yeah.
Woke him up, did the show again.
That's what we did.
And I think it was actually that day that the French Jolie walk happened. Yeah,
That-
actually, I
yeah,
know
it
it
was
was.
that day.
It was because
Yeah.
I was still sleepy. And I was what's it called? What's the pose that I was doing on the floor at the dressing room?
Oh, Shavasana.
It's Shavasana.
It wasn't lion's pose.
No. Basically just me Shavasanaing on the floor of the dressing room.
As one does.
As one does.
Right, yeah. And what's the energy of the band that night?
It was playful, I would say, because mainly because of Laura Lee. Like, I think maybe for her having the catwalk, it was probably really low energy.
Mm-hmm.
So she catwalks to like get everybody like, going and getting ready.
Mm.
And after that happened, lifted everyone's spirits, and you just go out and do your thing.
Yeah.
Copenhagen is remembered in Khruangbin as one of our favorite places to play because the audience is so great.
Wow.
Yeah.
And oh man, so after this show, I think we had a day off the next day. So on the road, we call that Roadie Friday.
Okay.
Because like everyone just kind of lets loose because you don't have to work the next day.
Mm-hmm.
And we went to this spot called War Pigs.
Yes.
Great name.
It was insane. I can't.
Oh, it was so good. It was a beer bar.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a beer
And
bar.
I think they just served beer, and they were playing like rock around the clock.
They were
and,
playing
like,
just like
some
old
rockabilly.
rockabilly,
Yeah.
like back to back to back.
Sounds like a dream.
And
Yeah.
people were.
But it was cranked like it was like club volume. You know
Like
what I mean?
trap.
But the thing is, there's no bass.
Right.
It's all mids, and
Yeah.
people are just going absolutely insane.
Dancing
doing
on
the twist and,
tables.
like-
Dancing
Yeah.
on tables.
No, it was like
Wooden-
insane.
This is like out of Greece or something. Like,
Oh,
Like bigger.
Yeah.
wow.
oh, it was so good because they were wooden like picnic tables inside the place, and everyone. And then you're like, I'm in Copenhagen,
Yeah.
and this is awesome.
I've never seen anyone like dance that hard to just like rock around the clock, just dancing on tables, doing the twist, just the entire room of people.
Yeah.
It was just insane.
One of
Like
my,
they were
like,
partying, dude.
Yeah, it was a party.
like how it would be at like an underground club somewhere, like a trap club.
Yeah, it was.
Right.
And the music was
But
that
rock.
loud, but it was insane, man.
Yeah.
And then he's back in. He's like bookending the set with like Queen.
Oh yeah.
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 It was great.
That sounds like a religious experience.
Oh, it was.
Everyone, like everyone singing together. It was one of those nights.
Oh, the best.
War Pigs. If you're ever in Copenhagen,
War
gotta go to
Pigs.
War Pigs. Oh man.
Yeah, whenever I am lucky enough to DJ a house party, I like to try and throw like a little rockabilly medley in there just to like prove that you can still dance to it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
you don't hear it enough.
You don't.
You know what I mean?
Uh,
So, anyway, there's a personal side. Have y'all had a moment where you found a special record on the road, maybe outside of the country, outside of the U.S.?
oh man, so many.
What was when you guys were in India with the?
Oh man, Laura Lee tells the story the best. I mean, I can't tell
You
the
think?
story. Yeah, definitely.
Well, we were in. Mark wanted to go record shopping in India, obviously,
Okay.
and we asked around. We played an Indian festival. We asked where we should go, and everybody kind of said you really need to go with somebody. But we were going to do our best to find stuff on our own. So we went to, what's the bazaar called? Char Bazaar?
Yeah, I think it was
Yeah.
like Char Bazaar.
It's old school bazaar. And I don't know where you've been in the world, but there's certain countries where there's, like, streets are divided by what they sell on them. Like, there's, like, the light bulb street or the cassette tape street or the
The
paper
plumbing street.
Yeah.
You know, this is the,
The
street where
smellier
you.
street.
This is the street where you just get like the back fender for your moped with
Yeah.
the light. Like
Yeah.
that's all they sell.
We were in auto land for a while,
Okay.
and then finally there was like a gramophone or something. We knew we were,
Yeah, we're getting closer.
yeah, and dusty shop with records stacked horizontally, like the wrong way, and piles high.
Yeah.
That's all it was, and they were so beat up. But we were gonna go through them because that's
Yeah,
what
why
you do.
not? Yeah.
And the guy behind the counter, he's like, "Oh, what are you guys looking for?" And Mark's like, "Oh,
I'm looking for Jean Baz.
Yeah. And he goes,
this?
He holds up his finger, and right behind the counter is a pristine copy of John Baz in plastic.
Yeah.
Like perfect, original press. And then he was like, "Oh, is there anything else?" And Mark was like, "Well, yeah."
Kurbani?
Turns out the only other record that's in perfect condition is that. And he's like,
Yeah, it's so
"Interesting,
weird.
because this is the most expensive record I have." So I was like, "Oh, of course it is."
Wow.
So we paid $10 and we were out the door.
It was great. And also in Thailand, we went to Sudrang Mall.
Sudrang Ma, yeah.
One of the best record stores I've ever seen in my life. I know when you usually go to international section, it's the smallest section in the room, and this is only that.
Oh.
And they travel just to find original pressings of records.
Yeah.
And I found a 7-inch of Kourosh.
Kourosh Mai.
Yeah, I forgot what the
Goliath.
Oh yeah, Goliath.
Yeah.
Which was one of the first. It was one of the first Persian songs we listened to.
Yeah, we couldn't get enough of that one. And we found it on wax. It was like, whoa.
Yeah, I had asked a friend who's Persian to ask her family to make a playlist for me, and I actually didn't really like any of the songs on there except for Goliath, and played it for Mark. Like, this is the most beautiful song, and it was in rotation forever. And then going to Thailand to find an original record from Iran.
Right.
I don't know. It kind of blew my mind. I never thought I would ever see that 45. And it was way more than I would normally pay for a record, and I probably won't listen to it because it's not in great condition, but it was something I would have been sad that I didn't buy.
Yeah. It's like a very divine experience. That's so cool.
چی بخونم جوونیم رفت صدام رفت دیگه گل یخ توی دلم جوونه کرده چی بخونم جوونیم رفت صدام رفت دیگه گل یخ توی دلم جوونه کرده
I remember like several years back when DJ was telling me like that y'all had been getting into Persian music, like Iranian music, and I sent him like the Pomegranates mixtape or whatever, which was like a life-changing like compilation for me.
Yeah.
I would say that that's one of two that really got me into like this rabbit hole of like Middle Eastern psychedelic music that I had no idea existed. And I'm like half Middle Eastern, which is crazy. So it's crazy that I didn't know that existed. Yeah. Is there also like maybe one record or compilation for y'all that sparked your interest in psychedelic music from that region?
What was it that got me going? It was Gugoosh. Mabiham Nemisarim. That's what, like, I think I heard it on radio, like that app, where you can just kind of pick a country, pick a decade, and it plays you jams from that. And I was like, what is this? This is amazing. I think it couldn't have been too long after Father John Misty, because that's where I actually learned about that app.
Yeah, we were in the UK. And
Yeah, and I was like, this is it right here. And then I was like, well, if there's this, then there's got to be other stuff like it, so I got to find more. And then I was just in love with Gugoosh, basically.
And we're going to see her next week.
Yeah.
That's right.
What?
Yeah.
Where's she playing?
Hollywood Bowl.
Wow.
Dude.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's really special.
I'm fanboying out right now. I cannot wait.
How old is she by now?
She's timeless.
Yeah. There's no age for her.
Mm-mm.
That's really special. I have a digital gift for all of y'all that I'll give y'all after
awesome.
email or WeTransfer or something. But there's this compilation that was really, before Pomegranates, was the one that turned me onto this world. It's called Waking Up Shehrazade, and it's like a 2-volume compilation of psychedelic rock from North Africa and the Middle East.
Dope.
Sweet.
And it turned me on to this band called the Cedars, who are Lebanese, and made me ask my dad if he'd ever heard any of this stuff before. And I had like remembered that he had like mentioned having a band in the past when he grew up in Palestine, and it kind of like opened up this huge window to where I've now gone on this mission that's still ongoing of uncovering more about my dad's band. But the connection between my dad's band and y'all is that they used to cover Rahbani songs.
Yeah.
Right.
And y'all did, what was it, Dance
Maria?
Yeah. And that is what made my dad a fan of y'all. So it was a really cool full
Oh,
circle
that's
moment.
so
Yeah.
That's amazing.
I'll have to, I'm still in the process of that whole thing, as DJ knows. But we'll work on that. We'll try and get y'all some of my dad's music too.
Killer.
Whenever we can make that happen.
Yeah.
It happens every day. No matter what they do. They cannot find a way to put a measure through. No better friends are found, yet they still hang around, living as usual. Happy silently.
I have a couple random questions for y'all. Were any of y'all into like comic books or superheroes growing up?
I was not.
No.
I was in the X-Men, like the cartoon.
Okay.
I really dug the cartoon. I wasn't into the comic books, but yeah.
Okay.
No.
Not for the rest of y'all.
I mean, there's people that could be superheroes too, but they're not traditionally.
Okay. Like who?
Cassandra from Wayne's World.
Yeah.
She's definitely a superhero.
Was she the one with the gun rack?
No, that was Stacy.
Stacy. Got it. Yeah. He didn't
Are you
even.
mental?
I don't even own a gun. Okay. Cassandra. Right. Cassandra. No, she is a superhero.
She's a
No,
superhero.
She's like-
Cassandra played bass in Crucial Taunt.
Yeah.
Crucial Taunt or Crucial Tonic?
Was it Crucial Taunt or Crucial Taint? One
Wow.
of those.
Really?
Pretty sure. Yeah.
Ah, for some reason I thought it was Crucial Tonic. Well, anyway, that would be something to look at later.
We'll fact check that one for you. Yeah, she looks like angelic in that movie when she's on stage.
Clearly inspiration for...
It's very clear inspiration.
Is it the hair? What is it?
Yeah, outfits.
Her whole thing.
She plays bass.
Yeah.
I mean, it was never intentional, but I was watching her the other day, and I was like, "Oh right,
Yeah.
I totally watched this a lot as a kid. I'm sure there was a subconscious thread that went in there."
Hell yeah.
Whammy bar.
Yeah,
So great.
she's like epic.
Yeah,
You're
so
like
epic.
she like hangs out with Wayne's World dudes, goes and sees the Strat, and knows all the
Yeah.
facts about the. I forgot you know it. Do you know the line?
I don't remember the line.
Oh, it's so
amazing,
good.
though.
It's so
It's
good.
like, take the buzz out the low E or some shit. Yeah.
There it is. Excalibur.
Wow. 64 Fender Stratocaster in classic white with triple single coil pickups and a whammy bar.
Pre-CBS Fender corporate buyout.
I'd raise the bridge, file down the net, and take the buzz out the low E.
God, I love this woman.
So good.
Do y'all remember any of her songs from that movie?
Yeah, that one.
Don't need no reason for reaction.
Yeah. Ain't got no reason for reaction.
Yeah.
Right.
So this is Ballroom Blitz.
Oh yeah, Ballroom Blitz.
Sweet cover. You know.
I can like see her face right now in my
Yeah.
head when she's singing that.
The snake's falling asleep.
I've never seen Wayne's World. We're gonna have to.
Oh man, we gotta fix that. We gotta
Yeah.
fix
I've
that.
never seen it. That's
Oh,
Dude.
Wow. Okay. All right.
love the
We'll edit
way
that out.
That you love me, baby. Yeah.
Yeah, I've never seen it. We gotta carve out some time to watch
Hey,
it.
There's
that's a classic.
It's actually
movie.
the one of her with the snake. I remember when
that
the
Wayne's World
Britney
2 or Wayne's
Spears video came out with the snake. I was
Okay.
like, oh, I remember this.
Uh-huh.
That's what we tend to do. Like, if there's a movie that everyone in the world has seen and I haven't seen it, we'll sit down and watch it together. I remember we sat down and watched What About Bob
Oh yeah.
in the UK once.
Great,
And,
great movie.
and it was like, okay, now I get all the inside jokes and references now.
Yeah.
But that's the next one. Wayne's
Wayne's World.
World. Let's do it.
It's been getting so hard living with the things you do to me. My dreams are getting so strange.
Do any of y'all have UFO stories or theories about UFOs?
UFOs.
Why are you laughing over there, Mark?
Well, because
He's checking out the show.
Serious. Yeah, checking out the show, man, with the glassy eye. You know, where the pyramid meets the eye, man, you know. Watch out. I've said too much. Well, I mean, with that in mind, let's just celebrate the life of Art Bell.
Yeah.
Because that's the guy right there.
Art Bell.
Yeah, man. I think my favorite UFO story is that, you know, CIA was doing like not mind control experiments, but like remote viewing experiments. So they had this like a psychic or a remote viewer or whatever sitting in a room, and they give him an envelope. It's a sealed envelope, right? So they ask him these questions, like they give him coordinates, and they ask him to describe the coordinates. So he's describing these coordinates. He's like, you know, there's huge structures. There's like these really tall people, and they're like, their planet's dying, right? So they gotta like, they're kind of hiding out in these huge underground, kind of like pyramids, but they're not really pyramids. But there's other stuff happening. Like they've sent some people to go find another place to live, and they're like waiting for him to come back, you know. And it's all this stuff. It goes on for a while, and then they open up the envelope, and it says the location of the remote viewing is supposed to be Mars 1 million years ago.
Wow.
You know, and I'm like,
Oh my god.
makes sense to me, dude.
Yeah.
You know, so I mean, if you want to talk about like, I mean, you know, people are like, oh, where are the aliens? I'm like, we're the aliens.
For sure.
I mean, why not?
Or like, have y'all ever seen Blue Planet, the documentary Blue Planet?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Like, my favorite episode is the one where they go to like the bottom of the ocean, because I feel like that's where the aliens really are. We don't know anything about the bottom of the ocean.
No, we don't.
There's like crazy stuff.
another
It's
world.
deep. It's very
Yeah.
deep. Literally, some. It's deep.
Yeah.
Good. I'm glad we had that talk. Glad we shared that moment together. That's really special. This isn't a UFO theory. This is gonna make me sound crazy. But I have like a time travel theory, which is a lot of people say that they like disprove time travel by saying, well, if it existed, like someone from the future would have come back to visit us by now. Like we would know that. My theory is, what if that person in the future got in their time machine, put in like, let's say 1705, let's just say that as a year, and y'all have been on the road a lot. When you're driving, there's like really long stretches of forest sometimes, and like for sure no one's seen every inch of that forest, right? Nah. What if they put in the wrong coordinates and they ended up in the middle of a forest in the 1700s when there wasn't much civilization? They got lost, and there's a time machine sitting out there somewhere in a forest. We got to go find it.
You can see that.
Wow.
Checks out, right?
I mean, probably. I mean, to be fair, it's probably at the bottom of the ocean.
True.
It's in the Marianas Trench. That's
You're right.
where it's at.
Imagine popping out in the trench and being like, shit.
I am not pressurized.
Goodbye.
And I die.
Okay, so final question. This song by Franz Jolie, Gonna Get Over You, pretty relatable topic for anyone who's been in some kind of relationship. What's the perfect balance between reminiscing and trying to live in the moment?
Good question.
I mean, I don't have an answer for that. Is there?
I know, it's like
Is there a balance?
Yeah. I usually try to live in the moment. I think I like feelings of nostalgia, because I think it's a nice feeling.
I mean, that in itself is a moment, you know?
True.
Like, do you mean like live in the now? Or do you mean
Yeah.
like live in like this actual moment right now? You know what I mean? Like in the
That's
present?
a fair question.
You know, it's like, do you mean like, do I need to be hip to like what's happening like all across the world right now today? Or is it more like what's happening right now?
Because it's nice to reminisce sometimes about good moments you shared with someone or with people, but you can't do that all the time, right? Like,
Yeah.
that's like,
I mean, I don't want to live in the past.
I think reminiscing, I mean, which is really what I think we just did for the last, 45 minutes now? Yeah. I think reminiscing helps you appreciate now more than anything.
Oh, that's so true.
Yeah.
That's a really good way to put it.
Nice one, Deej. He's always in the banger answers.
It's true.
That was really solid, man.
Thanks.
Very astute. Hey, y'all. Thanks so much for coming on the podcast.
Thanks for
Thanks
having
for
us.
having us.
Really appreciate y'all.
This was fun.
I'm going to try out that biscuit jam egg thing.
Yeah. Like, cut the biscuit in half. Do you get it? Like,
I
visually
get it.
get it? Okay, and then you put the jam in the eggs. Okay, cool.
You have to try the ginger jam though.
That's a fair
With butter.
trade.
With butter.
That's a fair trade.
Yeah.
Where do I get ginger jam?
I think you can
Makes
get it at, like, Randall's.
Yeah,
I
probably.
mean, anywhere.
If not that, like maybe a Cost Plus World Market or something.
Okay.
Yeah.
Should be over there by the.
I mean, you could
the
definitely,
Marmite.
I'm sure you can find it at Whole Foods if you really, take it up a notch.
Is it in like the jar with like the writing on it?
It is it's a nice writing. It's like a
Yeah.
fancy package, a silver lid.
Yeah,
I would say
yeah.
It's a silver lid.
A nice script.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You can, I'll fact check that for you. You can fact check the name of Cassandra's band. We'll be straight.
We'll hold each other accountable.
Yeah.
That's really nice. That's nice. Thank y'all so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you. Peace.
That was really nice. It's a really awesome brief.
So Khruangbin's story about that rockabilly dance club in Copenhagen reminds me of a very similarly religious experience I had in Santiago, Chile in 2015. I was there with some friends visiting Anna Tiju, who is a friend of mine and also is maybe arguably one of the most impactful South American rappers of all time. It's not for me to say, I'm very biased, but I think you can make that argument. One late September night, which in the southern hemisphere is the dawn of spring, not fall, I went with some of Anna's bandmates to a dub show. They had been telling me that we had to go, that it was going to be magical. So I said, okay, I'm along for the ride. Y'all show me the way. So we go to the Recoleta neighborhood, to a place called Club Ibiza. We walk in, and we see this, like, dread-headed but like ethnically ambiguous guy on an empty dance floor with a bunch of speakers in front of him. And Anna's guitarist, Paraprez, turns to me and says, just watch. And I said, okay. Within about half an hour, this guy had assembled a wooden pyramid of speakers, taller than me, and I'm like 6'2" on a good day. And the bottom row was all for the bass, the low frequencies. The middle row was for the mids. The top row was for the highs. And when the room filled up and it got really smoky, it was like being in church. I'm talking about people were trying to move closer to the pyramid just so that they could feel the bass pumping through them. It was incredible. But I'll never forget, about halfway through the night, this like pulsing bass line comes out of the pyramid. And it's this record called Mandela by Peter Youthman. And all the music that night was great, but this was the one that made it feel like we really were in church. People in waves were moving up to the speaker and then moving away, walking up to the pyramid and then moving back. And some people were just, as soon as that song came on, frozen in their place, their head cocked back like they were only there physically, but mentally they had gone somewhere else. You really can't tell me we weren't all in church that night. It was incredible. It's amazing when music can take you places, mentally, emotionally, even metaphysically, and for Khruangbin, geographically too. They've become known for, like I mentioned earlier, their covers of songs from the Middle East from the 60s and 70s. If people are discovering artists like Elias Rahbani or